The dust over Tehran does not settle between strikes. It hangs in the air like a permanent reminder that this is no longer a matter of warnings and negotiations. Operation Epic Fury, launched on February 28, 2026, by the combined forces of the United States and Israel, has crossed the threshold of its third week. The smoke is real, the numbers are staggering, and the men who spent their careers planning wars like this one are now watching it unfold with trained eyes, breaking down what is happening and what it means. As the U.S.-Israel war against Iran nears the end of its third week, President Donald Trump has downplayed prospects of a ceasefire, arguing that the U.S. has the upper hand and wants a decisive end to the war. From the Pentagon briefing rooms to the television studios, retired generals and former commanders are doing what soldiers do when they are no longer in the field. They are reading the battlefield and telling the world what they see. The operation did not begin quietly. The surprise U.S.-Israeli attack on February 28th killed Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei and other Iranian officials in the midst of ongoing nuclear negotiations. That single strike reshaped the entire architecture of the conflict. Retired four-star Army General Jack Keane, who now chairs the Institute for the Study of War, described that moment as one of historic weight. Keane said the first phase of the operation exceeded expectations, pointing to strikes that targeted senior leadership, missile systems, drone infrastructure, and key elements of Iran's military command structure, with the campaign designed to strip away the entire political leadership and the structures that support it, including the Islamic Revolutionary Guards Corps. The numbers that CENTCOM has released tell a story of sustained and overwhelming military pressure. U.S. Central Command Chief Admiral Brad Cooper said the Pentagon's operation has struck more than 8,000 targets since the start of the conflict, with the campaign weakening Iran's combat capabilities and crippling its naval forces, while also successfully targeting Iranian missile sites and attack drones. Cooper's words carry the cold precision of a man reading from a damage assessment sheet. The destruction of Iranian ships has been described as the largest elimination of a navy over a 3-week period since World War II, with U.S. forces having conducted more than 8,000 combat flights and maintaining air superiority over Iranian airspace. President Trump stood before a crowd at the U.S. Naval Academy and made it plain. Trump declared that Iran had a navy 2 weeks ago but no longer does, stating that 58 ships were knocked down in 2 days and crediting the United States Navy as the greatest in the world. It is the kind of statement that sounds like theater until the CENTCOM data confirms it. Retired General Joseph Votel, who commanded U.S. Central Command from 2016 to 2019, has been watching this campaign with the eyes of someone who built the very war plans being executed. Votel explained that CENTCOM is executing a war plan designed to take several weeks to destroy Iran's military capability, after which forces will be in a position to reopen the Strait of Hormuz and direct and escort tankers through it. The Strait of Hormuz is not just a geographic feature on a map, it is the jugular vein of global oil supply. About 20% of the world's oil passes through this waterway, which is currently shut down by Iran. The generals are not only watching from the outside, they are dissecting Iran's own strategy. Analysts at the Center for Strategic and International Studies have noted that Tehran chose a path of unrestrained escalation from the beginning. Iran appears to have absorbed the lessons from previous conflicts, including the direct clashes with Israel in 2024 and the 12-day war in June 2025, which were all marked by limited tit-for-tat escalation. This time, Tehran signaled it would not repeat that pattern, opting instead for both horizontal escalation, widening the geographic scope of the war, and vertical escalation, ratcheting up the conflict through its choice of targets, tactics, and weapons. Hezbollah's entry into the fight confirmed this calculation. Hezbollah's decision on March 2nd to launch drones and rockets on Israel marked a departure from its more cautious posture, as it had largely respected the fragile November 2024 ceasefire despite near-daily Israeli strikes on Lebanon. The move dramatically expanded the war and provoked a large-scale Israeli offensive. The proxy structure that Iran had built over decades was now being activated all at once, a sign, some analysts argue, of confidence. Others say it is a sign of desperation. The assassination of Khamenei eliminated the apex of the authorization pyramid, while the IRGC command structure was decapitated at multiple levels, with the acting defense minister among those killed. What followed was not organized retaliation. It was, as military analysts framing Iran's response have noted, pre-delegated response authority, a system that fires automatically when the center is destroyed. Pre-delegation is a sign of desperation and means the center can no longer coordinate. The attacks continue, but they are becoming increasingly uncoordinated, strategically incoherent, and politically costly for host states where these groups operate. The Hudson Institute's analysis of Operation Epic Fury raises a harder question, one the retired generals are increasingly wrestling with publicly. Entering its third week, the operation has degraded Iran's strategic strike systems and suppressed, though not eliminated, its ballistic missile launch capacity. Yet the campaign has not neutralized Iran's true center of gravity, the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, whose doctrinal order of battle and kill chains remain operationally coherent despite leadership losses. General Keane addressed this directly on Fox News, explaining the scope of what is still required. Keane laid out deliberate and methodical plans to strip away the entire political leadership and the structures that support it, the parliament, different agencies, the National Security Council, and on the military and security side, to strip away not just the IRGC leadership but the whole infrastructure and technology that supports them. It is a target list that goes far deeper than missile silos and naval docks. It reaches into the governing machinery of a state. Iranian missile launches were down 90% by the third week, while one-way attack drone launches had dropped by 95%, according to the Pentagon. These are not small reductions. They represent the near-total collapse of the offensive tempo that Iran had established in the opening days of the war. According to Admiral Cooper, Iran's overall combat capability is on a steady decline as U.S. forces maintain pressure across multiple domains, including air, sea, and missile systems. But the generals are careful to note that a weakened adversary is not a defeated one. From Iran's perspective, a cessation of hostilities would merely be a temporary respite before the United States or Israel restarts the conflict once they have replenished their military supplies. Therefore, a slow, protracted war of attrition is probably Iran's intended outcome, with Iranian leaders calculating that their country is more willing to take casualties and absorb pain than either the United States or Gulf countries. A cornered force with nothing to lose is one of the most dangerous things on any battlefield. As Iran targets data centers, the Trump administration faces decisions about how to protect private U.S. companies like Microsoft and AWS that are now on the front lines of the war. The battlefield in 2026 does not end at a border. It extends into servers, energy infrastructure, and financial systems. Retired General Keane said on Sunday that several Persian Gulf states are preparing for offensive operations in coordination with U.S. Central Command, with some states already defending themselves, some preparing for combat, and at least one reportedly already having begun operations. The regional war is expanding, not contracting. Saudi Arabia and the UAE have been struck. Lebanon's death toll surpasses 1,000. The U.S. military has confirmed 13 fatalities from Iranian attacks across the region, including 6 crew members killed when a KC-135 aerial refueling aircraft crashed in western Iraq on March 12. More than 50,000 American service members are supporting the campaign across the region. These are not advisors or peacekeepers. They are active combatants in the most complex theater the U.S. military has engaged since the 2003 invasion of Iraq. What the retired generals agree on, despite their different assessments of pace and end state, is that the war has passed the point of easy exits. The IRGC still has teeth. Iran's nuclear material is still unaccounted for in full. The Houthis still hold weapons. And Hezbollah, weakened but not broken, is firing into northern Israel. The fog of war is thick over the Persian Gulf, but through it, the shapes of the next phase are already becoming visible. The generals see them. They are telling anyone who will listen exactly what they see.